Mr. Ballard. Friends of America, beloved Minutemen of Saint Germain, as beloved Saint Germain begins to talk to you today, will you feel and accept his glorious radiation? And friends of America, remember, his currents of energy go forth to you, the same as to the Minutemen in this room. Therefore, if you will, with the kindness of your heart, accept that which he offers, you may find a blessing that will forever remain with you. Saint Germain will now begin to talk to you, and his instruction should lift you into the consciousness of your domain of life. Beloved Saint Germain. Beloved ones, since mankind has not known that there were those whom you have come to know as ascended masters, I wish to call to your attention a few things in prefacing my remarks that will enable you to see how far-reaching the ascended master's power is, which the Western world has given so little credit to up until 5 years ago. Recently, an article went forth in the newspaper in which Unveiled Mysteries were drawn to the attention of over 1 million people. This was not intended on the part of the newspapers, but was used by us, as the students have called for Ascended Master miracles, to draw the attention of the people to the mighty I Am presence and its mighty activity within mankind, so that they may find out that the presence of life, which has always been beating their hearts, will find its full power of action when given attention and called into action to produce its mighty so-called miracles of action, yet only miraculous because mankind has not understood that life was the only power that ever acts in anything or through anyone. Friends of America and gentlemen present, will you please understand today that all that ever acts throughout the entire world is life, its currents of energy, its strength, its intelligence, and power. But since mankind have free will to qualify the energy, in other words, clothe it with the condition that is in their feeling world, then life is not responsible for mankind's mistakes. Mankind, in having forgotten the powers, the expression, the fullness of the activity of life, which is actually acting every moment within their human form, will find now that they can recall the memory gained, the understanding forgotten, and restore this into that dominion of life which has always been their birthright. Now, since you will understand that all of this is perfectly natural and is an action of your life, then listen closely to that which will follow, so that you may grasp, if even for the first time, enough of the understanding of your own life and call it into action to render its almighty service for you. According to the degree to which you are able to still your human qualities, silence them, and let the presence of life charge that quality forth, which you can call forth in a greater intensity to take action through you. Then will you find all the proof that mankind desire to cause them to realize that they are standing in the presence of life, moving in the presence of life, whose dominion, beginning to operate, will take charge and produce such perfection in their worlds that there will not be the slightest question in the mind of any human being that they have contacted the source of all perfection of life and its mighty directing intelligence. Since mankind has looked without for proof of all that has existed in the outer manifestation of mankind, then it is time that they begin to realize the source of it and how they may release a power unparalleled in previous understanding and action, which goes forth now and takes its dominion in the world of mankind, in your industries, in your transportation, in your official activities of America. All mankind know the conditions that are existing today and the need of your America, and especially in all official places where greater divine order and divine justice should be established. There is no criticism of individuals in those places, but of a condition. Friends of America, try to feel that in all conditions in America that need to be remedied today. It is more a matter of conditions than it is of individuals' lack of understanding, sometimes called viciousness, because mankind is laboring under a pressure of human creation, which few people can understand. Even among the students so far, they don't fully realize the pressure that causes them to do things or say things at times that would be out of order according to their understanding. Friends of America who might be listening for the first time today, remember, in all the past centuries, each lifetime, the accumulation has gained more pressure by the response of mankind to discordant qualities. Today, you are in a position to reverse all that and have it dissolved and consumed by the power of the violet consuming flame called into action by the mighty I Am presence. Then you set yourself free into a harmonious feeling and action that will enable your calls to life to find immediate answers. Through that will come the proof of everything that life holds for you, which every human being has throughout the centuries looked outside of himself to find proof of. Now, friends of America, whether it be in your business activity or whether it be in the fuller understanding of life, remember that all proof in the entire world that must come to you must come through yourself, so far as you and your individual world is concerned. You might see miracles so-called performed, but it does you not one particle of good unless you have performed that so-called miracle yourself, or called the presence and power of life into action to do that through you. Then you have the proof that no human being in the world can ever take away from you. If you see something performed, you might believe it for the time being, and it might all be true, but when you are away from it and you begin again to feel the human pressure upon you, you will doubt its existence, no matter how true it was. That is why, in my calling the attention of the great student body to the great presence of life, so many have called for my visible, tangible presence. And I do often move among mankind in my own tangible presence, as tangible as the physical body of anyone. Still, in the student body, a definite activity has been established. And if I were to come forth in the tangible body, visible to all, they would soon begin to lean upon me as the holy guiding, directing intelligence, instead of calling to their presence of life for the solution of the conditions, which makes them the victory, and which brings through them the entire proof of the immanent powers of life. Therefore, you friends of America who are listening today, will you understand that, and will you see why? In time, the ascended masters will come forth in their tangible bodies, but until the mass of mankind have had enough proof through themselves that they know the law of life is true, we are not very apt to come forth, maybe at slight intervals, until mankind can have this proof themselves. There is no thing so important today as mankind seeing, feeling, and having released through themselves this infinite proof of the power of life to bring its perfection into action in themselves and their worlds. Today, in the cleansing and purifying activity and the releasing of mankind from the habits of human desires, for instance, the conditions that come through abnormal intoxicants of every kind and the use of tobacco and various things that are not conducive to the purification and perfection of life, mankind from some source must have the understanding of that which is acting upon them and within them through these conditioned habits. I say this to you, friends of America and Minutemen, know this, that whatever desire is within you that you wish to have removed, your call to the presence of life, the mighty I Am, to take out of you that desire, will enable it to be done harmoniously, oftentimes quickly and completely. Whatever action takes place through your call to the mighty I Am presence, friends of America and Minutemen, remember that this is a permanent thing. It will not recur to you when once it has been completely dismissed. It can be done quickly through the power of your presence, the mighty I am at your call. Remember that these conditions generated by your own human desires, while they are qualifying and using the energy of life, yet you have so qualified them and made them of human desires. But since you have the power to undo that in your call to life, then you can change and reverse all these conditions. This is the thing that mankind has sought throughout the centuries and in all the activities that mankind has seen. Men have traveled over the entire earth to find the means by which they could gain this great understanding of life. There have been places over the world where mankind, if their light had expanded sufficiently within them, could find it and did find it. But at what expense? At what pressure? At what attempt of the human in order to reach these places? Today, friends of America, is brought to you this same identical understanding that mankind sought the world over to obtain, and a few did obtain it. I, myself included, for instance, sought. You would never know or scarcely believe if I were to tell you how I sought for this knowledge before my ascension. And even though the endeavor was so strenuous and almost tragic in its strenuousness, yet the light within me was strong enough to win the victory through that. I say to you, Minutemen, today life has released you from that tremendous strain, from that tremendous pressure, and brought to you in the comforts of this room, in the comforts of your own home, this magnificent understanding of life that has been sought, and hundreds and thousands of dollars have been spent by individuals to try to secure it. Today, it is brought to you without money or without price, for no one is asked for a dime. Therefore, you see the vast difference in life's action towards you. And since you should understand why this has come about, listen carefully while I explain it to you. At the beginning, 7 years ago, 2 individuals in Chicago, Mr. and Mrs. Ballard, at my direction started to give forth this work, first with 7 people. It has expanded now until over 2 million people's attention has been called to this understanding of the mighty I am. Now listen carefully. How has this come about? Not by advertising in any manner whatsoever, but by the mighty decrees issued by the student body. As they grew from 7 to 400,000 people, these mighty decrees issued in the mental and feeling world of mankind went forth in their mighty vibratory action, touching, attuning, and lifting the consciousness of mankind by the expansion of the light within their own physical bodies and the attraction or contact with this understanding. Then came the acceptance, then the powerful application which is before them to achieve their complete dominion. This is the means by which so many have come in contact with this work, some through the radio activity, some through the transcriptions, all that has been done, truly. But the great majority of this has been done by the mighty decrees that have been sent forth by the great groups of students throughout America to touch the feeling world, the mental world of mankind, and prepare them for their contact with this work. You might say to me, even the Minutemen, how was it that we could not or did not do this sooner to bring about this greater activity? Because a sufficient number of the people had to be prepared and to some degree anchored within this power of the understanding of the mighty I am in order to hold the balance of those who entered later. You cannot imagine what it means to bring forth an understanding of life that turns many things completely upside down in the world of mankind who have not credited the existence of the ascended masters, who have not known of the mighty I am presence, and who have sought God as a universal activity. Of course, God is a universal activity, but so is it an individual activity. Since you are the outpost of the mighty presence of God individualized, whose presence above you is the mighty I am, then you have come home into your full understanding of your position to God, the mighty I am. You are no longer seeking as if you would reach out in the atmosphere blindfolded for something that was in the room, but whose position you did not understand. When you took off your blindfold, you saw the object. So today, in taking off the blindfold, which is the veil of human consciousness that has blinded mankind to the presence of life, which is above them, hundreds of thousands today have come to know and feel definitely that the presence of life, individualized, is above them, and how they can call and release a power and intensity of life that has been wholly incomprehensible, wholly unknown, and unbelievable until today. Enough of mankind are accepting this greater power of life in action and proving to themselves that this instruction which I have brought forth is a reality, is the greatest thing that mankind has ever known, and I do not say this egotistically, but the greatest they will ever know, because there is no place in this universe you can find anything greater than your own presence of life. It is all there is, or that you wish to call forth into action through your human form and into your individual world of action. Therefore, I say to you, friends of America and gentlemen, today you are no longer at the mercy of human conditions. You can send forth these mighty decrees, which are the power of life going forth under the direction of your attention, and that will dissolve the discord. That will dissolve and consume injustice in your individual world and in America, until there will be left only the power of light, divine order, and divine justice acting through human beings, acting in your industries, acting in your unemployment situation. I say to you, friends of America, be not disheartened. Be not dismayed at the conditions that exist today, because it is within the power of this ever-growing building activity of the I Am called forth into action to put every human being into their own right avenue of service. That call to life will bring about conditions that will put everyone in their own right avenue of service. If only enough of mankind will make the call to life, which will bring divine order and divine justice into your world of industry and stop the condition that has deprived mankind of their own service or employment, if you are pleased to call it that, in which they could be independent, in which they could be self-serving, self-confident. Friends of America, remember there is nothing in the world that gives mankind such confidence in themselves as being able to earn their own living, as they call it. Since life is the provider, every human being on this earth should be able to render the service that brings to him the abundance he requires for his sustenance, his shelter, his clothing, and his transportation where he wishes to go. As you call forth and continue these mighty calls, I call your attention to that which we have accomplished in the past 5 years to see how magnificent it has been, the great changes that have taken place. Now, throughout America, the heads of industries are understanding this work and applying it. Soon, their people will come to understand, and all within the industrial activity will call forth divine order and divine justice, perfection, and perfect action of service that will make one harmonious action. Then the unemployment of America today will soon become unknown. This can only come about by their understanding of this presence and power of life and their ability to call it into action. Let me repeat to you, I say each individual has the conscious feeling and ability to call this presence and power of life into action in its greater intensity, in its greater dominion. Therefore, as you understand this, you will see how mankind assumed the solution, and with the conditions that had existed. Of course, they had to fail sooner or later, because there was no anchorage there, no place to which they could anchor for a sustained achievement, even though it had been temporary achievement. I say to you, today it remains the same. Only those who have proven their sustaining power in their call to the mighty I Am presence can be fully aware. You may do me the honor to believe it, but unless you prove this, friends of America, to yourselves, you cannot understand how this can be true. Therefore, I ask you to apply this great law. You have the means of finding where you can get these books and where you can understand this instruction which I have given forth. That is the law of life. There is not one human opinion in it. There is not anything but the true law of life and our understanding. And since we are the victory of that application in our freedom from human limitations and in the ascension, then today you are in a position with the same determination which urged us into its full achievement and freedom. If you will apply this understanding earnestly, with great determination in your calls to life, then you will not need me nor anybody else to tell you that life is the supreme power and intelligence acting within your human form. It will dissolve all inharmony and limitations about you and set its greater power forth into action at your call. Take its command, hold its dominion, and release from the treasure house of your I Am presence everything that you require. Understand, friends of America, today why this is true. In your call to the presence of life and in accepting it as your treasure house, which means your money supply, understand how in that you are complying with the greatest law in the universe. Your presence is not holding so much coined gold or so much paper money in its possession for you. But since it is the creator, or its energy and intelligence were used to create all the coined gold and paper money that exists, then in your call and acceptance of your presence as the treasure house of your world, you have complied with the law of life that sets its mighty intelligence into action to reach out its light rays into the human octave or human world of action to bring about the conditions that will bring this release of the supply of everything you require, including money, into your action of life through divine order and divine justice. In your call to the presence of life for supply, for happiness, courage, and strength, remember that it is the wisdom of life acting, and no inharmonious thing can possibly come to you through that call if you will stand earnestly by it. Only as you would resolve that in your feeling after you made the call would any inharmony be produced. As you stand by your call to the presence, then its wisdom will act to bring about these conditions you require, even your supply of money. Since that is the power that all must use, I say to you, friends of America who might not have experienced this, remember, you have been able to bring forth that which you actually knew should be yours. Now the solution has been brought forth which will corroborate your feeling. You've been taught so many times through life that there should be a power, that there was a power if you only knew how to contact it, which would set you free from every condition that exists. I say to you, friends of America, you are quite right. There always has existed this almighty power of life, but mankind in their search to make the permanent contact did not know they had never lost it. You today must know in your presence of life above you, whose ray of light and energy beats your heart, that you have never been disconnected from this presence of life. You could not be and retained your physical body. Since you have your physical body, the proof is that you have that presence of life sustaining it, giving it life and intelligence with which to act. Therefore, I say to you today, turn to that God presence above you and try it out. Make your earnest, sincere call to it and see how quickly will come forth the proof that you require. But be determined. Do not yield to any other feeling but that determination to have its directing intelligence, its power of sustaining activity released through your body, through your feeling world, to take its dominion and produce the perfection which you wish. And that, of course, includes everything that your desire world can possibly require of perfection or constructive activity. As you do this, You will see and feel and know a freedom and dominion that you have never known to exist in your life, especially in this embodiment. Since this is the culmination of a period of mankind, when they must be free from the long, long period of the wheel of birth and rebirth, then there are thousands and thousands in America today who will close their earthly pilgrimage in this embodiment. I tell you, friends of America, so that all mankind might understand what this means. If you were to look back through your life stream and see the distress, the torture which you have gone through in the lack of understanding, then I think there is not one in America today who would not wish to obtain this understanding and apply it with such determination that they have the glory and freedom which it brings. Since you have that privilege, since you are calling in your hearts and have through many years, then I urge you today to take up the glory of this understanding and to feel its full power of action flooding you and your world. Now, I want to say a few direct words to the Minutemen. Friends of America, will you kindly listen and utilize it as best you can? In the full glory of those who have gained a certain amount of understanding in this work and have come to the point and the conclusion in life that whatever they have achieved thus far is but a fragment of what stands immediately before them. In all the assistance that has been given within the past 3 months in the clearing, cleansing, and purifying of the feeling world of the student body, only if you saw from our octave of life could you understand how great it has been and how in many individuals it has been almost complete. With your sustaining power in your call to life, it will soon be complete, and you will find the remainder who have not felt that complete release will find it with great speed because it is being done. That which has been the feeder of this discord and the human accumulation and discordant creation has been removed from America and will not act again. The accumulation of the substance that has been the pressure upon mankind has been dissolved and consumed so that it cannot find action. Therefore, mankind is already released from at least 2/3, and in many instances at least 4/5 of the pressure that has been pressing them down and making them feel their inability to cope with the conditions of life, the appearance world that confronted them. I say to you, gentlemen and friends of America, while we have spoken of this so many times, yet it always bears repeating, for you need to keep it before you. As long as you give power to the appearance world, which is human creation, you will find yourself constantly meeting obstruction. You cannot afford to do it. Life is perfect. The appearance world is filled with human, limiting, discordant creation, which is not real and has no sustaining power except your attention fed into it, which carries your life action to sustain it so far as you are individually concerned. But if you will understand this and turn away, and I mean by that not only in your vision, your physical sight, but turn away in your feeling from the limiting appearance, the discordant appearance of the conditions about you, and turning to the presence of life, which is happiness, courage, strength, and perfection, then you will be able to call forth this which you require to free yourself from these conditions which you have believed were real. I say to you, the appearance world, friends of America and gentlemen, is not real. It only has power to affect mankind through their attention held upon it. But I want you, friends of America who are listening today, to understand that not one discordant thing can reach you except through the power of your vision, your physical eyesight, or the power of your attention. When your attention is upon a thing, you are feeding your life energy into it, by which that quality, if it is discordant, comes back and finds action in your world. This one point alone, if mankind would understand and govern it, would shut the appearance world out of their world of action so completely that there would not be one single thing left to harass, limit, or disturb them. Therefore, today I wish to anchor within your feeling world, gentlemen and friends of America, such a power of action that you will not lose sight of this, that the only reason you find yourselves in limitations today, financially or otherwise, is because you have given power to the appearance world that says to you, your physical body, you are limited. Even though you have made the mistakes that have caused that appearance to temporarily hold its dominion, yet it has no dominion in this understanding of life, which I am presenting to you now in these words. Your attention taken off that appearance will cause it to dissolve and disappear because it has not your life to feed upon to sustain it. Therefore, gentlemen, I say to you, be firm and unyielding to this. Do not let your attention be held upon limiting, discordant things that deprive you of the fullness of the action of life at your call to dissolve and consume and release you forever from these conditions. It is absolutely definite. It is sure to perform these certain results if you will not let your attention resting on discord be the governing power to act in your world. I say to you, gentlemen and friends of America, be so firm. Withdraw your attention from all limiting, disturbing conditions. Give it back to life where it belongs. Then, at your call to life, let that power of life flow forth in its full power of action through your human form, through your feeling world, and through your mental world. Take its dominion there and hold it forever. It can be done. And I want you to realize today, in my releasing these currents of energy to you, while I am talking to you, I am helping you to hold definite dominion. And you, friends of America, should feel that power enter into your feeling world and lift you into that courage, strength, and confidence where you do know and feel through the power of life in your own heart, that these words are true, that it is for you, that you have the authority of life to call its mighty power into action to set you free at once. Oh, do not delay. Do not feel that it is going to require years of time. For instance, in your old training of the understanding of life, it was supposed to have taken years and years of preparation for these activities, for this release to come. I say to you, friends of America and gentlemen, it is not so today. True enough, centuries ago it was. Mankind themselves, owing to the means of the cosmic light that were existing, had to fight these things out, as it were, for themselves. But today, in the release of the cosmic light that is freeing you from such strenuous individual requirements, then you are in the position to call to the presence of life for this freedom, and keeping your attention away from the discordant, limiting things and giving it back to life. Then you, the individualized presence of life, will set yourself free absolutely and completely in so short a time. Therefore, I say to you, as you will make this effort, the ascended masters, who are just as real as you are, will give you the assistance. Now understand, friends of America, today, why the ascended masters are not limited and why they can give you unlimited assistance in your determination to be free, to purify yourself, and to hold that full power of action, which means the sustaining, continuing activity. If you will do this, you will see how true life is and how, all this time in your distress, life has been waiting for your attention in order to pour its greater perfection into your world of action. I say to you now that it is for every human being in America and the world to come into this understanding and apply its great laws. They are accurate. These laws interfere with no one in the world, their previous understanding or anything, but they illumine the understanding that mankind have had, put them on the right track, and sustain them there if they will so determine it. Since mankind are the decreers of their own world and how this energy is going to act for them, we cannot and have no desire to intrude anything upon anyone which they do not want. Since mankind do want freedom, want limitless supply, want perfection, want happiness, want the dominion of their own world, then I am presenting to you that which will give it to you, and the only thing in life which will. I say this in all kindness and all respect to everything that has come forth. But since mankind have not yet had their freedom through the understanding they have, then they should be reaching out. And all mankind are having a greater understanding that will give them their own power of application, which does set them free. I call to your attention to this one point definitely. Think of it. Since mankind have sought through everything that has been presented to them, yet have not found that freedom, and since hundreds of thousands in America today are finding this complete freedom from all limitations through this understanding, which I have brought forth, then it is time that mankind awaken to the fact that this does produce exact mathematical results, and it is not just for a few. Everyone from the boot black in the street to the banker or the president of the United States can apply this law with the perfection and blessing if they will do it. I tell you, friends of America, whatever your position is today, I say to you in this application of life, there is nothing in all creation that can hold you longer in limitations or privation. There is no power in the world but yourselves to hold you longer in these conditions. This understanding of life is before you. It produces exact results, and there is no power of human beings nor all put together that can hold one individual back from the perfection which this life offers, because life is the supreme power of the universe. There is no person, place, or condition that can deprive a determined individual of his freedom and dominion in this understanding and application of life. Thank you, gentlemen, and I say to you the power to supply and free yourselves is yours. Friends of America, the power to set you free is in these words that go forth to you today and in the currents of energy which I send forth to you. You perhaps do not understand it, but I am not limited in any way whatsoever, and as I am flashing these words to the messenger, then I am pouring forth to each one of you who are listening that power of life, those mighty currents of energy, that sustaining, invincible power. It is entering into your feeling world and raising you into that dominion, freedom, happiness, strength, power, and courage, which will draw you one day into that glorious power and freedom of life, and give you that which your hearts have craved all through many lifetimes, most of which you do not remember today. I say to you, friends of America, your liberty, your freedom is at hand if you will try to understand this great knowledge and apply it in your life. Please be seated. Remember, all this comes from the presence of life above your head. Think of it. You, today, no longer need to search for your permanent contact with God. But knowing you have it and always will have it, then your requirement is calling to the power of life and holding harmony in your feelings over a sustained period of time until the outpouring of this great river of life can pour forth, carry out of your world all imperfection, and carry into it and sustain that full power and perfection of life. Then, friends of America and gentlemen, you are no longer subject to the conditions that have been. I call to your attention so vividly today that even though mankind are responsible for the mistakes, life does not condemn you. We do not condemn you. All we want to know is that now you are ready to turn to the presence of life and call it to cleanse and purify you and your world so that you no longer re-qualify life as it goes forth on its great mission to bring perfection into your world. You are the determiner. You are the decreer of how it is going to act for you. And since in these few words today, you have been informed how you may change all this, then the responsibility is up to you. You may apply it or not. You may accept this or reject it. We love you just the same, but your life will not produce for you the perfection you desire unless you call to it with this understanding and know that no matter what your mistakes have been, life does not condemn you. I repeat this, friends of America, for there are so many in America today who are living under self-condemnation because of the mistakes they made. I say to you, be fearless, be dauntless. Your mistakes, whatever they may be stopped at once, and the power of light at your call will flood forth to dissolve them and cleanse, purify, and charge your world with its mighty action. Remember, friends of America and gentlemen, when I say charge your world, at your command, the power of life will charge into your world with a dynamic power of action that brooks no interference from any condition that exists in the human world. Therefore, I say to you, call it forth, friends of America, in the full power and dominion that is yours. Let life bless you as it has long wanted to do. While you have not known it, you have lived centuries and centuries under these same conditions, each time striving and waiting and praying to some degree to be free. But since you have the exact mathematical precision and application today by which this comes about, mathematically accurate, then I say to you, you are not subject any longer to the conditions that are mankind's creations. Assert your dominion. Stand forth free in the acknowledgement of your presence. I say to you, friends of America, in these parting words, remember, whether you have previous understanding or not, if you will accept the great individualized presence of life, the mighty I am above you, whose ray of light and energy beats your heart, and call to it, you will have the proof, all you require, that the presence of life is there. But be determined. Do not give power to human appearances longer, but stand firm and unyielding by that presence of life, and let its great river of life flow through you and bring its perfection into your world. It is the fullness of life. It is the power of life. It is the intelligence of life that every human being on this earth requires today. Remember, you are in the accumulation of mankind's limitations of the centuries, hundreds of thousands of centuries. So it is not surprising that you need to be firm at first and unyielding in your call to the presence of life, that it may shatter, that it may dissolve, and that it may consume the conditions which have held you in bondage all this time. Do you wonder that I ask you to be firm, determined, and unyielding in your call to the presence of life, and especially at first, until you see its mighty operating power take action in your world? Do not be surprised if it requires determination on your part. Remember, your determination is the outer action of the inner will and power of life that will sustain you, will strengthen you, will give you the full feeling and dominion of that power of life. It only requires your attention, your earnest, determined effort to find its full and complete action within you. Try it out, friends of America, and see what it will do for you. Remember, our part is to present to you this great truth of life, which we have proven by our freedom and our ascension. We are the living proof of this identical application of life, for the very application you have today is the identical application by which we have our freedom today. One day, you will come to know that we are as real, in fact, more real than you are. Therefore, try to believe, try to feel that it is within your province to reach us. Remember, all mankind in their attention to the presence of life, the mighty I am, can become the full Christ beings in their full power of action. Since you have sought the Christ within and the ascended Jesus Christ without, remember that every human being is the child of God, and the proof is that the life of God beats your heart And the tiny flame of God is within the human heart. Therefore, the proof stands there. And I say to you, friends of America, within a very few years, every human being will be able to look within a physical instrument and see the flame within their own heart. This will enable him to know that God, the mighty I Am, is the presence of life that is beating his heart. Then will mankind know freedom and dominion, and nothing, not all human opinions, can take it away from them. Let us stand in that full power of the glory of life, its full and almighty power of action. And as you, friends of America, call your friends' attention to this great presence of life, remember you are rendering them a service. It is not up to you whether they accept it or reject it, but as you call their attention to it, you have fulfilled your part. Then it is within them to accept or reject. Remember, no one is coerced into this work, but all are left quite free. We call the eternal blessing of life upon you, friends of America, to take its dominion, take its action, to produce its perfection, and give you the perfection of life in the human octave. Keep your attention off human limitations and put it on the presence, which brings you the full power and glory so that it may be sustained. Go on and on in its action and its dominion, for it is giving you its evidence of the power of life to take command and hold its dominion there forever. Therefore I say to you, joy is for him, for her today, who will give attention to this understanding and all that it means to them. Friends of America, it is for you to accept or reject. We call the blessings of the understanding, the comprehension of life, to take its full command and dominion. Therefore, gentlemen, today, in this rare opportunity to pour forth my radiance, my blessings to you, it is a joy that words cannot describe. I thank you for your comprehension, for your feelings, for that gathering dominion within you through your attention to life that is doing so much. Gentlemen, please feel that even though outer manifestations have not met your full demand, still continue on in that determination, which ere long will set you free completely. Remember that in the little obedience that we call your attention to, which life requires of you, it is very little in comparison with that great joy and limitless release of every good thing that you wish to have. Remember, we have tried to seek out within each one and find just how little obedience could be required and ask that you might give it to have this great freedom. It is not that we ever want to deprive you of anything, of your human free will or that which should be asserted by you, but unless you do give the obedience to certain of these simple requirements which we have asked, you will find yourself suddenly obstructed. Having passed through all these experiences which you go through, we know exactly what you require. And if you will let us help you by the suggestions we offer, then you will be free so quickly. But if you do not think that it applies to you, that it applies to the other fellow, then you will find you are not going to be free. Since you have made such tremendous progress, such expansion of the light so far, well, why not go on and so quickly be free? Gentlemen, I say to you, watch out. Stand guard. Your light is expanded so much more than you realize yet. Do not give way to human conditions for 1 second, accepting that they have the power to deprive you any longer, or that they hold a crushing hand upon you. They do not. This day rejoice with me, and I especially prepared it for this hour. While you have been listening to these words, I have cut you free from the last binding thing. Will you accept that? And will you await the wisdom of your presence of life in bringing its outer manifestation and proof of that into your world of action? You know I would not utter a word to you that was not true. When I say I have cut you free, that means I have temporarily cut you free from everything that would bind or hold you longer in fear or doubt. But since I cannot be the sustaining power of that, I have caused this to be done to give you time now to adjust yourselves to the presence of life and call its full power of action to hold and sustain this release which I have given you this hour. This is mighty real, gentlemen. And since you know the only real activity is life itself, then try to feel the truth of my words applying to you individually. And I ask you to keep reminded of all the great director has done, all the goddess of light has done, all the goddess of purity and the mighty victory have done. Think of these magnificent friends, gentlemen, these mighty beings, besides all the others. But I speak of these especially because since they have charged certain qualities into your world of action, then they have made you a part of themselves. Gentlemen, I wish you could feel this with all the importance it is to you. Do you realize what it means for these great beings to make your life a part of them? If this had not been done, I could not have rendered this service today. But if you will accept this now, and then call your presence of life into action to sustain it, you will see the proof of my words. But I cannot sustain it for you unless you will give that obedience to life. The mighty progress that has been made. Gentlemen, could you see as we do in all conditions of America, you would rejoice beyond any power of expression. And just think of it. Gentlemen, we are just getting into action now. Oh, we want you to feel such joy, such happiness in your ability to call forth the invincible power of life. I say to you, gentlemen, do not yield 1 second to this which has been. Notice I say which has been. Your feeling and fear of financial limitations. Gentlemen, as true as I am telling you, I have cut every one of you free today from that thing. Gentlemen, while you are standing, let us look through this thing squarely in the face. Any kind of limitation that holds its appearance before you is a human quality. Now you all know that, and I am sure you will all agree with me that it can be nothing. Since it has no life, it can be but a human quality. Then you know that thing has no power any longer. Try to feel that now, gentlemen, today. Remember that anything which has produced any kind of limitation for you or has caused you to fear it or feel it is but a human quality that has no power in itself. Don't you see? Unless you feed your life into it through your attention, it cannot have power. Therefore, do something to keep your attention off that. And if there is not anything else, just turn on it and just keep saying to it through your feeling, you have no power. Now you might as well get out, for I am going to keep this up until you know it. And that feeling in me has to go down. My feeling is not going to accept that human sense of limitation anymore. It is only a human thing and has no power, and I will not accept it another minute. Therefore, I tell you, gentlemen, when you realize that you can cause to be dissolved fear or whatever it is in your world of that particular thing, you can sweep it out absolutely. I want you to feel that because I have given you your freedom today. Of course, it can only be temporary unless you accept that and call your attention into action to sustain it. It will be so easy to do it if you will realize that I have told you the truth, that you have been cut free from that condition. And if it be fear or whatever quality is manifesting there, it is gone. Absolutely gone. I want you to feel that because I tell you, gentlemen, if you saw from our octave of light the transformation that has taken place in 5 weeks over your America, and mark you, for about 8 months, that fiendish thing has been deliberately catapulted at the people of America, and especially the student body, to make them fear and believe they were not getting free from their financial limitations. That thing has been almost completely wiped out from the whole atmosphere of the people of America and largely from the student body because that vicious force wanted to see this light fail, but it will never see it. I am so grateful, gentlemen, that you feel the need, that you see the necessity, and are willing to do whatever is within your power to silence all attempted interference with this work, because I tell you, as the whole student body over America takes this stand, those vicious creatures will absolutely disappear. There is no reason why there should be opposition to this work. It is not a thing that interferes with anything in the world. It just expands the understanding of all mankind. And there is no reason why there should be this feeling. I tell you, vicious individuals who willingly do that should be silenced. And I am sure they will be. Therefore, I rejoice with you, gentlemen, and I feel honored indeed to call you my Minutemen. Now, gentlemen, remember, we are only just getting started. We are going into action every day with more and more power. Notice this, in the ever-expanding action of the light within, it makes it possible for us to do more and more for you every day. And I want you to feel that. You are not overlooked for one day, not one of you. I want you to feel that. Do you think that we, after all your determined effort, would be so ungrateful as to forget you for a single hour? Do you think we do not hear your call and we do not feel the need of releasing you from the conditions which you are calling? As you are more and more determined, we too are more and more determined, and you will find us absolutely holding you within our mighty light rays, giving you that courage, strength, and sustaining power which everyone needs. I tell you, gentlemen, you shall have it. Don't fail to claim it. First from your presence, then from us. Oh, gentlemen, do you not see we are just a little more advanced part of yourselves? Don't you see that? We are just life in its fuller power and expression. Then don't feel that we are too transcendent to be reached. It is true we are magnificent beings, but you can be like us. Everyone, please feel that. Every one of you can be just like we are. It only means your determined stand and your continued determined call to your presence of life with our assistance. Think of the conditions, gentlemen. Suppose this existed 100 years ago. Suppose today we were set back 100 years. Your call then would depend absolutely on the power of your own light within you as to whether you won the victory or not. Today you have had these qualities from the great divine director, the mighty Victory, the goddess of light, the goddess of purity, and the goddess of liberty, all projecting their mighty qualities into your feeling world that is around you. Well then, do you not see that the great cosmic light is giving this assistance to the entire earth? Then, don't you see, gentlemen, what a vastly different position you stand in than if this same condition existed 100 years ago? Try to feel this, and it will give you the courage and strength to stand dauntless in your application until you have called forth everything your heart's desire. I am so determined, gentlemen, that I am going to see all of you as young boys when we return in July, feeling the full power of buoyancy of youth acting through your bodies and your world of action. Oh, it is so real and so beautiful, and you can have it, beloved brothers of light. You can have it, and if you will be as determined as I, you shall have it out picturing. I thank you with all my heart for your determined stand to life and for your love to me. Oh, it is magnificent. It is a beautiful thing. I say to you again, gentlemen, that after almost 600 years striving through mankind to get those who would listen to me and who would see the truth of the words I know to be real, to respond to it, remember, we shall not miss one opportunity to reach more and more of mankind. Therefore, beloved brothers of light, know that my hand is in yours. Know that my heart beats with yours, and that out of that heartbeat, which is mine in you, will come the glory, the purity, the perfection, the dominion of life that has struggled so long to find its dominion in and through you. I thank you. I love you and bless you forever.